Imagine for a moment a group composed of Nobel laureates, world-class philosophers, and top-tier engineers all gathered in a single room. You would expect their collective intelligence to be off the charts, perhaps solving world hunger or the secrets of the universe by lunch. But Gustave Le Bon, the legendary author of the 1895 classic The Crowd, tells us something far more disturbing and deeply counterintuitive. He argues that as soon as these individuals form a crowd, their intellect doesn't add up. Instead, it sinks to the lowest common denominator. Think about it. Have you ever seen a mob of people making a truly brilliant, nuanced, and scientifically sound decision while in the heat of a moment? Today, we are diving deep into this psychological masterpiece to understand why smart people do incredibly stupid things the moment they are in a group. Le Bon's insights are more relevant today, in the age of social media and viral trends, than they were during the French Revolution. And so, grab your coffee and let's explore the dark, fascinating mechanics of the popular mind, and why we are all more suggestible than we think. Our journey begins with the first core concept, the mental unity of crowds, and the total disappearance of the individual conscious personality. Le Bon explains that a crowd is not just a collection of individuals. It is a single, biological organism with a mind of its own. In this state, the individual's conscious will is submerged, and the unconscious, instinctive parts of the brain take the steering wheel of the soul. It's like being a drop of water in a crashing wave. You no longer choose your direction. The momentum of the ocean chooses it for you. Consider the Black Friday phenomenon, where usually polite and reserved citizens turn into aggressive hunters, fighting over a discounted television set. Individually, these people would never dream of shoving a stranger, but as part of the shopping crowd, their moral restraint vanishes instantly. This happens because of contagion, a state where every emotion and act is so infectious that an individual readily sacrifices his personal interest. Le Bon suggests, this is akin to hypnosis. The individual is no longer aware of his acts, being entirely under the influence of the collective. The second core idea is that crowds do not reason. They think in images, and these images are often wildly exaggerated or distorted. Logic and evidence are the enemies of the crowd because a group cannot process nuance. It only understands black and white, good and evil. If you want to convince a crowd, don't use statistics or logical syllogisms. Instead, use powerful, vivid metaphors that paint a picture in their minds. Think of how modern political campaigns or advertising work. They don't sell you the technical specifications of a policy or a product. They sell you a feeling, a vision, or a threat that is so simple and striking that it bypasses your critical thinking faculties entirely. Le Bon points out that the crowd is like a child, impressionable, impulsive, and capable of moving from heroism to cruelty in a heartbeat. This brings us to our third major point, the role of the leader, or what Le Bon calls the soul of the crowd. Crowds are essentially herds that cannot do without a master. They instinctively seek someone with a strong will to follow. A leader doesn't need to be intelligent or wise. They simply need to possess prestige, that mysterious magnetic force that paralyzes our judgment. The leader uses three main tools to control the masses: affirmation, repetition, and contagion, the holy trinity of psychological manipulation. Affirmation means making bold, concise statements without any proof. The simpler the lie or the promise, the more weight it carries. Then comes repetition, saying the same thing over and over until it is no longer a statement, but an undeniable, subconscious truth. Finally, contagion ensures that the idea spreads from person to person like a wildfire until the entire forest of the crowd is ablaze. We see this today in the echo chambers of the internet, where a single tweet or video can trigger a global wave of outrage or adoration. The digital crowd is even more potent because it never sleeps and has no physical boundaries, making the contagion effect almost instantaneous. Le Bon also warns us that crowds are essentially conservative, despite their often revolutionary and destructive outward appearances. They eventually return to their old habits because they crave order and authority more than they crave the chaos of absolute freedom. By understanding these mechanisms, we can begin to insulate ourselves from the madness of the crowd and regain our individual autonomy. It requires the courage to be the person who says no when everyone else is nodding in rhythmic, unthinking agreement. In conclusion, The Crowd is not just a book about sociology. It's a manual for surviving as a conscious human being in a world of groups. Next time you feel a surge of collective emotion, whether it's anger on Twitter or hype at a concert, Take a deep breath and ask, is this me thinking or the crowd? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the popular mind, please hit the like button and share your thoughts on whether you think we are more like crowds today than ever before. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights into the books that shaped our world and continue to explain our strange, collective behavior. Remember, the most powerful thing you can be in a world of crowds is a person who thinks for themselves. Until next time, stay curious and stay unique. Let's consider a practical example of how Le Bon's prestige works in the modern world of social media, influencers, and tech moguls. When a famous CEO tweets about a niche cryptocurrency, thousands of people rush to buy it without reading a single page of its technical white paper. This isn't a financial decision. It's a crowd reaction driven by the prestige of the leader and the contagion of the fear of missing out. The individual thinks they are making a savvy investment, but in reality, they are just reacting to a stimulus, like a moth drawn to a bright flame. Le Bon also discusses how crowds are incapable of holding a secret. Information within a crowd is distorted and amplified until it becomes a myth. This is why rumors spread so quickly in tight-knit communities or online forums. The crowd needs the story to be dramatic to sustain its collective energy. Even if the facts are boring and mundane, the crowd will dress them up in the vibrant colors of legend and heroism to satisfy its emotional hunger. This emotional hunger is why logical refutations of popular myths almost never work. You cannot kill a dream with a spreadsheet of facts. To change the mind of a crowd, you must offer them a more powerful, more beautiful, or more terrifying dream than the one they currently hold. Le Bon reminds us that civilizations have always been built by individuals but eventually destroyed by the crowds they leave behind. As a civilization ages, it loses its cohesive individual drive and falls into the hands of the masses, who eventually dismantle it through impulsive action. But this isn't a message of despair. It's a call to awareness, a reminder that the flame of reason must be carefully guarded by each of us. In every era, there are those who stand apart, observing the storm of the popular mind without being swept away by its deceptive currents. That by reading Le Bon, you are equipping yourself with the psychological tools to see the invisible strings that move the world around you. You begin to see that most public debates are not about truth, but about which image is more attractive to the collective soul at that moment. This realization gives you a superpower, the ability to remain calm and analytical while everyone around you is losing their heads. It allows you to lead when others are lost, and to listen when others are only capable of shouting the same repetitive slogans. So, as we close this exploration, think about one time this week where you felt the pressure to agree with the group just to fit in. Recognize that feeling not as a social obligation, but as the first pull of the crowd's hypnotic influence trying to submerge your personality. Break the spell by asking a simple question. Why? And what is the evidence? Even if you only ask it to yourself. Thank you for joining me on this deep journey into the mind of the crowd. Your individual perspective is the most valuable thing you own. Check the description for a link to the book and other resources to help you master your own mind in an age of collective madness. Stay thoughtful, stay independent, and I will see you in the next video as we continue to uncover the secrets of human nature.